Greetings, YouTube. The Doctor is in. Dr. Urias Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Dungeons and Dragons. And yesterday, because today is May 28th, yesterday we got an announcement through the Unearthed Arcana that we are getting a new class called the Scion. We're going to take a look at that class today. We're going to look at the base class. We're going to look at all the subclasses, the spell list, the base class features, and some new things called wild talents. We're going to look at all of that. We're also going to look at what other classes might go well with this in a multi-class sense. All of that and more, so stay tuned. All right, so before we begin, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you have any questions or comments, please leave a question or comment. Don't forget to share this video, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. So this is downloadable as a PDF that is off of the website as part of the Unearthed Arcana 2025. Really, it's the 2024-2025 series. This is the Scion. And as I said, we're going to be taking a look at all of the different features of this class. And in addition, we're going to look at one combination that might go well with this class. Now, I highlighted a few things in this class that I thought were important to me. They may not necessarily be important to you, but they are important to me. And I look at these things as features that particularly are going to change the dynamics of this class in combat, and also, because this channel is about power gaming, how it will affect the power game mechanic and dynamic. So in this PDF that we've got our base class, and then we've got 4 subclasses: the Metamorph, the Psywarper, the Psykinetic, and the Telepath. We've got a spell list. There are some new spells, kind of newish. We're not going to say they're new. These spells are in D&D Beyond right now out of some other books. So these are updates to many of these spells are previously published spells, and they're just updates to them. We do have a new thing in here called Wild Talents. And I highlighted in here characters who take the noble or sage background can choose a wild talent feat in place of that background's origin feat, and any character can choose one of these feats when their class normally allows a feat choice. So when you get a feat, you can choose one of these feats, or you get it for free if you take noble or the sage background. And some of these feats are pretty good. So it is what it is, and these are the kinds of things that we're going to be getting. So let's take a look at the base class. So here's the wrap-up summary of the base class. It comes in these little tables now that they put at the beginning of every class. It gives us the core Scion traits. It is an intelligence-based class. It does have low hit points, very much like a wizard. Saving throws are both intelligence and wisdom, so this is one of the few classes that's both intelligence and wisdom. 2 skill proficiencies: Arcana, Insight, Intimidation, Investigation, Medicine, Perception, and Persuasion. So there's a little mix of some charisma in here with some wisdom and also some intelligence-based things. Obviously, no armor training and simple weapons. So let's start out with the Scion features table, and there are a number of mechanics in here which are pretty much in common with all classes, but then there are some new mechanics in here, kind of. So these energy die, they were psychic die back when some of the old psychic classes came out. Now they're energy dice. So you get a die. You get a certain number of dice. You can see I've highlighted number of dice. So at first level you get 4, and it's a D6. It jumps to a D8 at 5th level, and you get 2 more. So you get up to 6. At 20th level, you will be at D12s, and you'll be getting 10 of these a day. So these things can be used to activate different psychic powers, and then they will also be used to add things like damage or to saving throws or to hit rolls or to determine how far a power can work. So they're a mechanic in itself, a mechanic within a mechanic itself. In addition, the Scion is a full caster. So you can see down here that it goes all the way to 9th level spells. Full caster all the way, same as all the other full casters. So they've got a number of cantrips, they've got a number of spell slots, and then they can prepare, and there is the prepared spell column right there, and they will be able to prepare up to 22 different spells. They will get 1 spell slot at 9th level, 1 at 8th level. They'll get 2 at 7th level and 2 at 6th level. So that's something that's pretty good. One other thing to note about this class is this psionic spell casting ability. So it says when you cast a Scion spell, that spell doesn't require a verbal or material component, even if the spell includes a V or an M in its components entry, except material components that are consumed by the spell or have a cost specified in the spell. But this only applies to Scion spells. So if you're a multi-classed player, you have Scion spells that you've prepared, and you have whatever other spells that you would have prepared. So this only applies to that. So essentially, you can cast all of your spells silently if they are Scion spells, which is really important. I think that's an important feature. I didn't really highlight it here, but it is something that I do want to point out. One of the big things that the Scion gets is the psionic power. You get this at level 1, and you start with 2 such features. One is telekinetic propel, and the other one is telepathic connection. I've highlighted both of these because I think they're important. They're a new thing. And then you are able to regain 1 expended psionic energy die when you finish a short rest, and then you get all of them back when you finish a long rest. And remember, I said that the dice can be used to power your abilities, and you use them when you use an ability. Many of them, not all of them. So it says some features that use psionic energy dice require a target to make a saving throw, and that saving throw is equal to the DC of your class, which is based off of your intelligence. So the first power that you get is called telekinetic propel, and I like this because it involves force movement. I love anything that involves force movement. Unfortunately, a lot of force movement, including this, is based off of a strength saving throw. So as a bonus action, choose 1 large or smaller creature other than you that you see within 30 feet. You roll a psionic energy die, which is gone. The target must succeed on a strength saving throw or be pushed or pulled, your choice, up to a number of feet straight away. We got to go all the way to the top here. Away from yourself, equal to 5 times the number rolled. So if you got a d6 and you roll a 6, that thing is either pulled or pushed towards you or away from you 30 feet. On average, if it's a d6, it's going to be like 15 feet. The die is expended only if the target fails to save. So that's a really good thing, is you can use this as a bonus action, and you don't get rid of the die unless it fails the saving throw. If it makes the saving throw, nothing happens, and then you don't do it. But force movement, remember, is an extremely, extremely important mechanic in Dungeons & Dragons, particularly 5th edition and 2024. All right, the second power that we've got is telepathic connection. You have telepathy with a range of 5 feet as a bonus action, so you have that all the time. As a bonus action, and again, this is a bonus action power, it is not a bonus action spell, so you can still use your action to cast a spell. So as a bonus action, you expend 1 psionic energy die and you roll it for a number of minutes equal to your Scion level. So if you're 3rd level, it's 3 minutes. The range of your telepathy increases by a number of feet equal to 10 times the number. So if you roll in a d6, it'd be 35 feet. So, I mean, that's okay. I mean, that's on average with the D6. That's okay. I do like the telekinetic propel. You can do that as many times as you have dice and they fail their saving throw with the propel. The telepathic connection is okay. You have both of them. So you get both powers. The propel, I think, is better than the telepathic connection, but you can do both. So what I really want to highlight here is not like some of this stuff where at level 1 you get mage hand. The big thing is Second level, you get Psionic Discipline. So you get 2 more disciplines of your choice. That's important. And we're going to go over what those disciplines are. And then you also get your Psionic mode at second level, which is another important thing. And as a bonus action, you choose one of the modes, granting you certain benefits for a minute. There are a lot of these spellcasting classes have this particular mechanic where they do a thing with a bonus action and then something turns on for like a minute. The sorcerer has one of these as well. So you can either go into attack mode or defense mode. I like the attack mode, so it says, in addition, when you roll damage for a spell, you can expend 1 psionic energy die to re-roll a number of dice up to your intelligence modifier, but you have to use these new rolls. So you can just pick up all the ones and re-roll them, and you're probably going to get something else, or maybe all the 1s and 2s. So once you can use this feature twice, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Now, the defensive mode is okay. That gives you resistance to psychic damage, where the attack mode allows you to ignore resistance to psychic damage. There's not a lot that has resistance to psychic damage, so it doesn't really matter. With the defensive mode, you get a bonus to a wisdom or charisma save or intelligence saving throw equal to your die, and then it's gone. So these are pretty good. I do like the attack mode one better just for the re-rolling of the energy dice, but the defensive mode one is pretty good. But you're going to be trained in intelligence and charisma saving throws, or I'm sorry, intelligence and wisdom saving throws already. And then you're probably going to use the charisma one the most out of all of these. So at third level, you're getting a subclass. We're going to talk about that a little bit. We're going to go through all these kind of base class powers or abilities first. Fourth level, we get the ability score improvement. Fifth level, we get Psionic Restoration. I highlighted this because I thought this was important. And beyond this, some of these are okay, some of these are not. So Psionic Restoration, when you finish a short rest, you regain expended psionic energy dice, but no more than a number equal to half the number of dice. So you do a short rest, and let's say you had 4 dice, then you can get up to 2 dice back. And you can only do this once per long rest. At 7th level, you get Psionic Surge. So when you roll initiative, you can expend 1 of your hit point dice, not your psionic dice, hit point dice, and regain an expended use of psionic modes. That's the attack and defense. In addition, after you roll 1 or more psionic energy dice, you can expend 1 of your hit point dice, not your psionic dice. And this is really good to treat any roll of 1, 2, or 3 on those dice as a 4. So if you've got leftover hit point dice and you don't really need to use them after during that short rest, then you can blow it on these right here. 19th level, we get an epic boon, which pretty much everybody gets. And then the capstone ability, level 20, is called Enkindled Life Force. Once per turn, when you expend 1 psionic energy die and roll it for a psionic feature or psionic discipline, you expend up to 2 of your hit point dice to roll 2 additional psionic dice, and the numbers are rolled in total. That's okay for things like the Propel. I think that would be interesting and powerful. So the next thing that we get, remember at second level, we get a couple more of these psionic discipline options, and you're pretty much only ever going to have 4 of these. You get them here at second level. You get the 2 at first level, and essentially you're going to get some more at 10th. You're going to get another one at 10th level, and 17th level. So you could eventually get all of these psionic disciplines, but you're probably not going to go to 20th level. You may go to 10th level at this. Like I said, I don't think that this class is worth going all that high in. It is worth adding levels of this to a build, but beyond that, and we'll get into that, but beyond that, not so much. So the psionic discipline options are biofeedback. So each one of these applies to a different school of magic. So this one applies to necromancy or transmutation. So you can expend a die, you roll it, and you gain a number of temporary hit points equal to the number rolled, plus your intelligence modifier. So that could actually result in a pretty good amount of temporary hit points. Destructive Thoughts, when you cast a Scion spell from Conjuration or Evocation. and a creature you can see succeeds on a saving throw against the spell, you can expend 1 die, roll it. The creature takes psychic damage equal to the number plus your intelligence modifier. So they're going to take a little bit of damage. Not very much. Devilish Tongue, you can add that number on your die to an influence action. Ego Whip, when a creature provokes an opportunity attack, you can take a reaction and roll a die and force the creature to make an intelligence saving throw. On a failed save, its speed is reduced by 10, and it subtracts the number rolled from the next damage roll. That's just okay. You don't use this if it doesn't fail. Expanded Awareness, you get the die added to a search roll. This one is a big one. Id Insinuation. This is a really big one. So when you cast an enchantment or illusion school spell that forces a creature to make a saving throw, you can expend 2 psionic energy dice, and you roll 1 of those dice. Now, I understand why they did 2 dice, because this is a pretty powerful ability. You roll that die, and then the target of the spell subtracts that number from its saving throw. Now, this is when you cast that spell. So there's no action. This is just part of it. And they're going to take a penalty. Now, this is a big one, and this is a big one to be able to add to another class, like the sorcerer class, when casting some of these spells. It is a Scion spell. So when you cast a Scion spell from the enchantment or illusion school, that's a big one. So if you're only taking a few levels in Scion, then that spell you're stuck with it. Now, the next one is Inerrant Aim. When you make an attack roll against a creature and you miss, you roll a psionic energy die, you add it to the attack roll, and then you could potentially hit them. Psionic Backlash. Immediately after a creature you see hits you with an attack roll, you can take a reaction. You expend a die, you roll 2 dice, and you subtract the number rolled on each die from the total. In addition, you can force them to make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the target takes psychic damage equal to the amount rolled on the 2 psionic energy dice. So that's okay. That's just okay. Psionic Guards. At the start of your turn, you can expend 1 psionic energy die until the start of your next turn. You're immune to the charm or frightened. That's okay. Swift Precognition. It's Abjuration or Divination. When you cast that spell, you can expend an energy die, and then the casting time is changed to a bonus action. That's okay as well. And lastly, we have Tactical Mind, so you can add your die to your study action. So the Scion spell list is pretty extensive. A lot of different spells, particularly a lot of enchantment type of spells or illusion type of spells. Things you would think of that are going to affect the mind. Good list of cantrips, things like True Strike, Telekinetic Fling, which is in this book, Mind Sliver. A lot of these also appeared with like the Aberrant Sorcerer. So we've got, those are pretty good cantrips. A lot of really good, great cantrips. First level spells, we got Charm Person, that's a good one. Dissonant Whispers, that's a good one. Long Strider, awesome. We don't have Shield on here, but we do have Mage Armor. Tasha's Hideous Laughter is another great one. Second level spells, we've got Whole Person. That's a really important one. Phantasmal Force, that's another one. Suggestion is a good one. Tasha's Mind Whip, that is in here. Third level spells, now the spell lists start to get smaller. Less spells in here. So we've got things like Bestow Curse, Dispel Magic, Fear. Intellect Fortress is in here. Hypnotic Pattern is a great spell. Telekinetic Crush is in here. Fourth level spells, we've got things like Banishment, Charm Monster, Compulsion, Confusion, Greater Invisibility, Phantasmal Killer, Polymorph. Rowlothim's Psychic Lance is in here. Summon Abjuration. Fifth level, big ones here are Dominate Person, Hold Monster, and Telekinesis. Those are really, really big, kind of almost S-tier level spells. Sixth level, we got Blade Barrier. Not sure how that fits in, but I guess it does. Disintegrate. Eye Bite is one of my favorite ones. Otto's Irresistible Dance is another good one. Seventh level spells. Force Cage, that's great. Power Word Fortify. Project Image. Reverse Gravity is another good one. Eighth level, we've got Dominate Monster, Power Word Stun, Maze. Those are all good. And then ninth level, we've got Overpowered Kill, Psychic Scream, which is a good one, and Time Stop. So these are all pretty good spells and pretty good spell lists. I would probably only maybe go up to 3rd level spells with the because like I said, I don't see going full on this particular class, but maybe dipping into this class. So maybe 2nd or 3rd level, maybe as much as 5th level in the Scion. So next we've got the subclasses. You start getting these at 3rd level. We've got the Metamorph, the Psywarper, the Psykinetic, and the Telepath subclasses. Out of these, each one of them, I think, has a strength. I don't think any one of them is more or less better than the other one. Like I said, each one has its own strength. They all come with a set of spells that you automatically have prepared, which is good. So like the Metamorph has like some cure stuff, restoration, haste. A lot of them have haste. That's a big one. They come with these organic weapons, and I did point out this one, which was the Flesh Maul. So you can shape your limbs into weapons. Whenever you take the attack action or you make an opportunity attack, you can reform your free hand into one of the following. You get a Bone Blade, a Flesh Maul, or a Viscera Launcher. And whenever you attack with a weapon, you can use your intelligence modifier for the attack and damage roll, so that's good, instead of strength. Now, the only problem with these is they're not magical. They do psychic damage, but they're not like a +1, +2, +3. So, you're never going to get like them enchanted. But they do have some good abilities. So, like the Flesh Maul does a D10 of damage, and if a creature is hit by, the creature hit by the Maul has disadvantage on the next strength or Constitution saving throw it makes before the start of its next turn. That's big. That's a big one. A lot of times it's easy for creatures to make those strength and Constitution saving throws, and if you can give them disadvantage, that's big, because there's a lot of really nasty spells that are especially tied to strength saving throws. And then the Viscera Launcher launches like acid, and you can do some extra acid damage. And then the 3rd level is you get some, as a bonus action, you can spend one of your dice. For the next minute, you get one of these things. You can increase your speed, your reach. You can, when you cast a spell that has a range of touch and the casting time in action, you can make the range of 10 feet. You get an extra attack at 6th level, quickened healing. So you can spend some Psionic dice to change the casting time to a bonus action. And then you get mutable form at 10th level. So you have advantage on Constitution saving throws, and you get choose one of these to have resistance. So acid, bludgeoning, etc., etc. Superior stride. While you aren't wearing armor, you can take the dash action as a bonus action, and you have a climb speed and a swim speed. And then unnatural flexibility. You gain +2 to the AC, and your body, along with the equipment, becomes pliable. You can move through any space. So that's all okay. I think the big thing for the Metamorph is that Flesh Maul ability, which is... The next subclass is the Psywarper. I like this one a lot. It has some pretty good spells. So things like Misty Step, Haste is in here again, Banishment, Dimension Door, Steel Wind Strike, which is a spell I always love. Teleportation, you automatically get Misty Step without expending a spell slot, so you can use it. You can use it once for free. You can also restore your use of it by expending a Psionic die, which could be important as a panic button if you need it. I think the big power here, and they are probably going to change this because, again, this is in an Unearthed Arcana, is this Warp Propel. So when you use your Telekinetic Propel discipline, you can teleport the target to an unoccupied space you can see within 30 feet of you that is horizontal to you. Now, it doesn't say they have to be on solid ground. It just says horizontal. So if I teleport you straight 30 feet east and it happens to be over the edge of a cliff, that's still horizontal, not vertical, and you'll fall. So I think they're going to change this, and they're probably going to mirror it to what Vortex Warp is. And then we've got Warp Space. When you cast Shatter, you can expend a Psionic die to make it 20 feet instead of 10 feet. In addition, creatures that fail the saving throw against the spell are pulled straight toward the center of the sphere, ending in an unoccupied space as close to the center as possible. That's a big one. We always love force movement. Teleport combater. Immediately after you Misty Step, you can cast one of your Scion cantrips that has a casting time of an action as part of the bonus action. So that's really good. And duplicitous target. When a creature you can see makes an attack roll against you, you can take a reaction, you can spend your die, choose a willing creature you can see within 30 feet of you, and you and the willing creature teleport and swap places. So that's kind of a panic button for you. And then mass teleportation at 14th level. As a magic action, you expend 4 of your dice, choose a huge creature or smaller within 30 feet of you, up to a number of creatures equal to your intelligence modifier, and then you can teleport them within 150 feet. An unwilling creature that succeeds on a wisdom saving throw against your spell DC is unaffected. So you can get unwilling things with this, which is really good. The third subclass that we have is the Psionic. So this is kind of the evocation, telekinetic type of manipulator. So here's the spell list. Spell list is pretty good, not bad. We got things like Cloud or Daggers, Levitate, Shield, Thunderwave, all the way up to Telekinesis. So these are things that you always have prepared, which is great. Really like that. And then you have your telekinetic techniques. So when you use your telekinetic propel, so you can use your telekinetic propel for different things. You could boost a target speed by 10 feet. You could disorient a target. They can't make opportunity attacks. Or you could do a telekinetic bolt. So if the target fails the saving throw, it takes force damage equal to the number rolled on the psionic energy die. So it's like little bits of extra stuff added on to something that is already there. At 6th level, you get your empowered attack mode. So while in your attack mode, you also gain fly and can hover. So remember, your attack mode turns on for a minute, and this gives you a fly speed of 60 feet for a minute. And then when you cast a Scion spell, you can add your intelligence modifier to 1 damage roll of that spell, which isn't too bad. Should be, at about level 6, it should be somewhere around an 18 or a 20. Rebounding field when you cast shield, and because you are a psykinetic, you get shield at 3rd level automatically prepared. So whenever you cast shield, in response to being hit by an attack roll and cause the triggering attack to miss, you can expend a die, and you can launch the force back at the attacker if they take some damage. So it's again, little tiny thing. It's not great. We've got enhanced telekinetic crush. So when you use the telekinetic crush, you can expend a die and this to modify the spell, so that whether the creature succeeds or fails, its speed is halved. So that's pretty good. And then finally, we've got heightened telekinesis. So when you cast telekinesis, you can expend 4 dice to modify the spell so that it doesn't require concentration. This is big, but again, this is a 14th level ability. If you do so, the spell's duration becomes 1 minute for that casting, and you can target gargantuan creatures and objects. So that's a big deal. And telekinesis is an S tier spell that you can do so many different things with it. Now it doesn't require concentration, so you can turn that spell on, and you can cast another concentration spell. So you could be invisible and have this heightened telekinesis on, which is the last subclass that we have is the telepath. So these are the ones that, can read minds and influence minds and things like that. So we've got telepath spells, which gives us the list. And so we've got things like Bane, Command, Detect Thoughts, of course, Mind Spike, all the way up to Awaken and Modify Memory, Compulsion, Confusion. So you always have counter spells on here, interestingly enough, but you always have these prepared. You get the Mind Infiltrator. So whenever you detect thoughts, you can expend 2 dice so that the spell doesn't require components or concentration, and the target doesn't know that you're probing their mind if it fails a wisdom save. So that's a big one. Telepathic Hub. You have telepathy with a range of 10 feet when you expend a die as part of the telepathic connection. For the duration, you can simultaneously contact a number of creatures equal to 1 plus the number rolled on the die, so that's okay. 6th level, you get Empowered Defense. When you're in your defense mode, whenever you make a saving throw, you add a d4 to it. In addition, While it's active, you can extend this benefit to another creature, so that's okay. Potent Thoughts, you add your intelligence modifier to the damage you deal with any Scion cantrip. That's a little extra bump. Telepathic Bolstering, so you have telepathy out to 30 feet. When you or a creature you can see within range of your telepathy fails an ability check or misses with an attack roll, you can take a reaction, roll that die, and add that number to the 20, potentially making it a success. And then finally, we've got Scramble Minds. When you cast Confusion, you can expend 4 dice to modify the spell so that the radius now becomes 30 feet instead of 10 feet. In addition, creatures, and I highlighted this because this is big, creatures under the effect of the spell roll 2d10s, and you choose which roll determines their behavior on their turns. So you could be choosing if they are attacking their allies or not. That's a big one. So in this, we have a number of spells that seem like they're new, but not necessarily. They are updated spells. So there are some design notes here. Several spells from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything returned to this article along with some brand new spells. So they kind of go through everything. New spells in this are Summon Astral Entity, which goes along with kind of the summoning. It's okay. And Telekinetic Crush. And then a unique cantrip called Telekinetic Fling. So we've got things like Intellect Fortress, which gives you advantage on intelligence and wisdom. Psychic Scream, 9th level. I'm not sure why they must have put these in alphabetical order. Does a bunch of damage, stun condition. I always like the stun condition. Rowlotham, Psychic Lance is back again. Here's Summon Astral Entity. I'm not really going to go over all the spells. I just kind of want to highlight what's new in here. It has the stat block for this spell. Summon Astral Entity. There it is. And then we get Tasha's Mind Whip. We've got Telekinetic Fling and Telekinetic Crush. So some new spells. Some of these spells were in Tasha's. They were also associated with the Aberrant Sorcerer. So they're here. There are some updates to these spells in 2024. We may go through those in a future. So the last part of the class are these new feats. We'll do that in quotation marks. The new wild talent feats. Remember, these are free if you take certain backgrounds. So and a lot of these have the stat blocks for a lot of these are very similar. So we have Atmokinesis, which is associated with like the atmosphere or electricity. So when you deal bludgeoning, piercing, slashing, or psychic damage, you can change that to lightning. So that's kind of okay. And then Shocking Grasp, and you also have Fog Cloud prepared. Cast it once without a spell slot, and then you have to do a long rest. You can also cast it using any spell slots you have. And then you get Gust of Wind. So this is kind of a theme where you change the damage type, and then you get some spells. Next one is Biokinesis. So when you cast a spell that restores hit points, you can just restore some extra hit points. You get Spare the Dying, Healing Word, and Arcane Vigor. And you basically can cast those free. Then there's Clairsentience. So when you take the search action, you can give yourself advantage. You can use this a number of times a day. So usually when this kind of thing happens, this advantage stuff, you can do it a number of times a day equal to your proficiency bonus. And then you get Guidance, Detect Evil, and See Invisibility. The next one is Cryokinesis. So instead of doing bludgeoning, piercing, slashing, psychic, you do cold damage. You get Ray of Frost, Armor of Agathis, and Ice Knife. Great. You got the Empath. So whenever you take the influence, you can get advantage a number of times a day equal to your proficiency bonus. And then you've got Psionic Talent. You get Charm Person and Calm Emotions, which is pretty good. I would take that, with the Telepath if I had it. I think that is the last one. No, we got Flesh Morpher. Oh, there's 10 of these. I'm sorry. There's 10 of these. So we got Flesh Morpher. So when you make a dex check for acrobatics or sleight of hand, you gain a bonus equal to your intelligence modifier. And then you get Long Strider and Alter Self. That's pretty good. Mind Whisperer. As a magic action, choose one creature within 120 feet. You form a telepathic connection. For 1 hour, you can communicate, and so on and so forth. And then you get Mind Sliver automatically, and you get Dissonant Whispers automatically. And there's the side, and that's a pretty good one. That one's not bad at all. And when you cast these spells, they require no verbal or material component. This applies if you are taking this feat not as a Scion. And then there's the Psi Trickster. You get Cunning Mind, so you get Deception or Persuasion at advantage. Well, you get with your Intelligence modifier, so not at advantage, with your Intelligence modifier, number of times a day equal to your proficiency. And then you also get Minor Illusion and Disguise Self. Then there's the Psi Kineticist. When you take the dash action, you can increase your speed by 10 feet until the start of your next turn. So that's only when you take the dash action. You can do this a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you get Telekinetic Fling and Thunder Wave. Those are pretty good. And these are all, these are just freebie stuff. So that, if I were to have to take these as a feat, I may be hesitant to do that. But because they're freebies, it's an easy win. Pyrokinesis, Fire Starter. So you replace the listed damage with fire damage, and then you get Produce Flame, Burning Hand, Scorching Ray. That's awesome for free. And that is it. Those are all of the wild talents. So I think out of these, I would like to think that the Mind Whisperer is pretty good just for the spells that you get as freebies. Pyrokinesis is pretty good for the spells that you get. I do like that Flesh Warper ability with Longstrider. I love Longstrider spell. And I would say that probably the Atmokinesis is pretty good too. So as a class as a whole, what rating would I give this? Well, let's grab the arrow here, and we're going to give this one a solid B. It's a pretty good class. It's a full caster. It's got a lot of different options. There are a number of different force movement options to enhance spells, to make it easier for things to fail saving throws, for some defense and some panic buttons. So it's got kind of a little bit of everything. Would I necessarily go straight Scion all the way? Probably not. I think there are other classes that are much stronger than this class overall as a whole, for just looking at going up to, say, 10th level and beyond. So again, this is a B. There are other classes I think that are stronger. However, I think there are things in this class that definitely could be added to other classes if you are going to multi-class. Those are always important things to do. So if I were going to do that, this would be in addition to another class, and another class would not be in addition to this one. I think that's what I'm trying to get at. I would probably take 3 levels in Scion, but beyond that, maybe 4th or 5th level at the most, just maybe to get kind of one of those 5th level features. But beyond that, probably not. So again, overall a B, pretty good class, but I would combine it with. And as promised, what class would I combine the Scion with? Well, of course, the Sorcerer, because I love the Sorcerer in D&D 2024. There is so much in this, and there are things in that Scion class that would definitely go very well with the Sorcerer. Now, you do have to keep in mind that you're going to have Sorcerer spells, and you are going to have Scion spells in accordance with the preparation of spells and the multiclassing rules. And you're going to have a high intelligence and a high charisma. But again, this class is awesome, and I think this class can be made better with a couple of levels of Scion. So like 3 levels of Scion would work well with this, especially if you are combining the innate sorcery abilities. So you're making it harder to save against your spells. And the big one is the meta magics, especially Heightened Spell. So we got Heightened Spell right here, which you're just making it that much more difficult to save versus these spells. Now, for the Scion, if we look through here, For 3 levels of Scion, we get spellcasting. We get the 2 psionic powers, which the propel one is really important. We get the subtle telekinesis. We get the psionic discipline, so an extra 2 psionic modes, and we get a subclass. And I think a couple of really important things to talk about here are the telekinetic propel. That's super important. I think that goes well with the sorcerer as well. And then the attack mode wouldn't be too bad to be able to, maybe do a little bit of extra damage with some of those powers. I don't know if I would go so far as to get to 5th level for the psionic restoration, but that definitely is there. I would absolutely take insinuation so that we can give a penalty. Now, it has to be with a Scion spell, but with the sorcerer, when you cast a spell, so we're going to look at heightened spell. When you cast a spell, that forces a creature to make a saving throw. That's really important. So you could cast a Scion spell here, and from the Enchantment Illusion School that forces a creature to make a saving throw, spend 2 of those dice, you give them a penalty, and it could be meta magic to be heightened, so you could give them disadvantage on every single saving throw. So that almost instantly assures that they're going to fail the save. So things like Hold Person, which is just a 2nd level spell, or Charm Person, things like that, Tasha's Hideous Laughter, all of those spells are still very low level, but still very nasty for you to be able to do this. But remember, this only applies to Scion spells because it says there. And then as far as subclasses go, for Sorcerer, I do like Wild Magic, of course, and because you get, at 6th level, you get the Bend Luck ability, so you can give more penalties out. But in addition, if we go over to the old class list and we go down, you could also include Aberrant Sorcerer in here because they do get a bunch of the spells that are kind of psychic in flavor. That's okay. I do like the Wild Sorcerer, though. But you get Psionic Sorcery, you get Psionic Defenses, things like that. Subclasses for the Scion, I do like for this, not so much the Metamorph. That might be okay. I do like this Flesh Maul, but you still have to be in melee to do that. I do like the Psywarper, particularly because they get the Warp Propel. That, I think, is awesome. And I also do like the Psykinetic a little bit. I like the Warper better than the Psykinetic as far as these classes go. The Telepath, I think that's just okay. The spells in here are mainly illusion and enchantment, so that might be pretty good to go along with that insinuation. Some of the abilities they get are not that great. Lastly, for wild talents, I do like the Empath or the Whisperer. So let's get to that one. So we are at the Mind Whisperer because you get Mind Sliver and Dissonant Whispers for free. Plus you can do some communication, or the Empath because you get advantage on influence and you get Charm Person and Calm Emotions for free. So those are pretty good. They go kind of along with that kind of build. So all in all, like I said, I think the Scion, in my book, it's a B. I think it is a good class. It's not the best class. I'd like to see what the final version is going to look like, what book this is going to appear in. They've had a number of these Unearthed Arcana classes that have now come out, and they have yet to say what book they're going to come out in. So it sounds like there's going to be a expansion book that's going to be coming out hopefully soon. And I would add this in a multi-class build probably to the sorcerer. All right, that is what I have for everybody today. I hope everybody enjoyed, and I will catch everybody